RetroDaze.
A common refrain of older generations, the farther we move from our childhoods, is that these kids today need to get off those darn electronic devices and touch grass. Let's ignore the inherent falsehood of this particular conceit for a moment, because certainly kids today do much more than just play on their phones.
Although there was no internet to surf, we had some of the same screen time options like video games and television. But more often than not, other group activities called out to us on the after-school Friday wins, and we'd answer, "I'm going to meet my friends at the roller rink." Like so many things we enjoyed in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, roller skating started and became popular long before any of us were born. The first use of rudimentary roller skates was in 1743 when John Joseph Merlin added wheels to regular shoes so actors in a theater production could simulate ice skating on stage. There were attempts at updated designs throughout the 18th century, one which resulted in Merlin smashing into an expensive mirror as he attempted to skate through a masquerade party while playing violin, until 1863 when, according to rollerskatingmuseum.org, James Plimpton revolutionized the roller skate by inventing a skate with 4 wheels, 2 pairs set side by side, also known as a quad skate. Because this skate allowed for greater control and ease of skating, the 4-wheeled skate quickly came to dominate the industry. Following the Civil War, as a way to help patrons begin to heal, Plimpton converted the dining room of the United States Naval Academy in Rhode Island into the first ever roller skating rink. According to Scott Garner in his article From Ballrooms to Discos, Tracking 150 Years of Roller Rinks, by the 1880s, the pastime was well enough established that purpose-built roller rinks began to spring up around New England, whose residents took to the sport quickly and enthusiastically, hurling themselves across the floor. 100 years later, and we were still having as grand a time as our predecessors, flying across a smooth floor to the DJ's carefully selected grooves, and perhaps hoping to catch the eye of our junior high crush. While no two rinks were exactly the same, there were plenty of similarities that were more or less universal. Upon entering the unassuming building, you'd be greeted with a smell particular to roller rinks, which was an entrancing combination of hot food, popcorn, shoe disinfectant sprays for rental skates, leather, stale sweat, bearing oil, cigarette smoke, floor wax, and puberty. Not dissimilar from a bowling alley, yet somehow uniquely rink stink. The carpet was always low profile to make it easier to skate over, and of the low stain variety. This meant you could expect dark coloring with busy, bright patterns akin to what you'd find in arcades. The designs were uniquely abstract, sometimes a conglomeration of swirls, dots, and stars made to look like celebratory confetti. Other times, squiggles, springs, and geometric shapes. You may even find carpet with actual roller skate shapes, but always of multiple colors over a dark background. The music and lighting were the next things to hit simultaneously as you made your way to the front desk to rent a pair of skates, unless you were one of the lucky ones who owned your own pair. The sounds of people laughing and talking, the rumble of skates on the wood floor, and far-off bleeps and bloops from the small arcade encircled your body, causing excitement to rush you to a bench so you could lace up and join in on the fun. There was more to do at the roller rink than just skate, but that stuff could wait until later, after you tired yourself out and your ankles began to ache. With your skates laced up, you launched yourself onto the floor, expertly weaving into the lane of traffic as if merging onto a highway. You had arrived during one of the free skate sessions, and you took full advantage. Your friends rolled over and you interlocked arms, forming a chain of 3, laughing as you raced ahead of the other skaters. Those first moments were always exhilarating, feeling the speed and soft vibrations running up your legs. There was something special about this shared experience of racing across a wood floor while music thumped and lights dazzled. Something you'd hold on to all your life. These thoughts faded as you unlinked from your friends and tried on some of your best moves. You weren't a pro or anything, but weekly visits to the rink had improved your techniques considerably. You started easy with a spin and then another. Some of the younger kids watched as they clumsily skated, just barely staying upright. Next up was the dip, squatting down as you continued to roll. That move had taken some practice, but now was like second nature. Harder was shooting the duck, where from the squatting position you extended a leg out front, making an L shape. You just managed this trick, but really should have built more forward momentum before the attempt. You went back to some easier movements like the crossover and Rexing when the DJ ended the free skate in favor of some roller games. The overhead lighting flickered and flashed in a multitude of rainbow colors as the music boomed. Some people skated off the rink, but you and your friends stayed for the games. After that introductory music, the DJ returned to the mic and announced the first game, Limbo! This one was pretty easy, but a lot of fun nonetheless. 2 rink workers rolled out to the center and held a pole up while the DJ played the Limbo song. He said, "Remember to bend forward, not backward." Youch! Yeah, you made that mistake once and never again. After someone wins, the DJ called everyone back onto the rink for the Hokey Pokey. A huge circle formed as the Hokey Pokey music played. And again, everyone followed the instructions, watching people fall as the circle grew smaller and smaller until only one survivor remained. Often, this one went on a little too long and more than one winner was announced so they could move on to one more game. The final game during that session turned out to be a backwards skating race, which the DJ warned was only for the more experienced skaters. A few racers decide to participate, and even then, many fall before the winner is announced. Other common roller games included freeze tag, which is exactly what it sounds like, and 4 corners, which requires you to skate to one of the 4 corners, chosen by the game guard, with your eyes closed when the music stops. The guard then names one of the corners as out and continues the game until only one person remains. Other racing games included push cart, monkey, and shoot the duck. Push cart was when a partner pushed you while you were in a squat position. The monkey race was similar, except instead of a partner pushing you, you'd use your hands to propel yourself forward. And of course, the shoot the duck race required you to be in the shoot the duck position. The DJ, if your local establishment was lucky enough to have one, was like the unofficial king of the roller rink. They played the music, called the games, made other announcements, and often heckled skaters in a lighthearted and comedic way. Once the games were over, perhaps the DJ would call for another free skate, but they might also call for kids only or adults only. Sometimes they'd even announce a ladies' choice or disco dance. For many of these, the music would change to fit the given situation. A disco dance skate required, of course, some kind of disco music, perhaps Disco Duck by Rick Dees and his cast of idiots, Brand New Key by Melanie, or You Should Be Dancing by the Bee Gees. Ladies' choice might call for songs like Livin' on a Prayer by Bon Jovi, Take on Me by a-ha, Lookout Weekend by Debbie Deb, or, in the 90s, Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor. Other favorites were No Parking on the Dance Floor by Midnight Star, Round and Round by Rat, I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor, Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang, and Bounce Rock Skate Roll by Vaughn Mason and Crew, among many others. And if your DJ was particularly crowd-friendly, they might even take requests. If you grew tired of skating, most rinks had at least a couple other things to do, one of which was the ever-popular arcade. Being that this was mostly a building dedicated to skating, it was rare for there to be enough room for more than a few arcade cabinets. The offerings largely depended on the decade, but a few universally popular cabs would have been Pac-Man, Galaga, Dig Dug, Outrun, Street Fighter II, and Mortal Kombat! The larger the rink, the more likely it is that you'd have access to skee-ball, air hockey, billiards, and full racing cabinets like Hang-On or Road Blasters. And we can't forget the requisite claw machine to round out a true arcade experience. The snack bar was another haven of activity once you tired of skating, and often presented like the love child of a movie theater concession stand and a mom-and-pop burger joint. Which is to say, the food was palatable in that weekend junk food sort of way. They'd offer classic concession-style snacks like popcorn and boxes of various candy, but they also had hot food items like cheeseburgers, fries, hot dogs, and pizza. Still, none of it rose to the standards of actual restaurants. The nachos, for instance, were tortilla chips with a side of radioactive yellow nacho cheese. The pizza was of the frozen variety with the cardboard crust and plastic cheese. The burgers, they were pre-cooked frozen patties, and the hot dogs were never 100% beef. None of this bothered you very much, though, because the food is exactly what you craved on a weekend night while you were out having fun with your friends. So you'd grab your soda fountain Dr. Pepper with a side of cheese fries, and you'd scarf them happily as you watch newbies hang onto the side of the rail for dear life. Your friends would join you at the rinkside table with their own paper plates of greasy pizza and fried foods, and you'd talk about school crushes, new movies playing at the theater, the book report that was due next week, the quickly but not quickly enough approaching summer vacation, your new favorite songs, and all those other little things that seemed so big when we were younger. Sharing those moments at the roller rink, bathed in rainbow-colored lights and hidden in the dead center of a pop music soundtrack, made our young lives that much more vivid, that much more lived.
Attempting to wrap every viewer's personal roller rink memories into a single narrative video is a tricky thing to do. No two people's experiences will be exactly the same, just as no two roller rinks are exactly the same. Maybe your establishment's food was delicious and fresh compared to our descriptions. Maybe your rink didn't have a DJ or arcade games. Oh no. These variations are always expected, and one of the reasons we adore asking our viewers, what are some of your favorite memories of the local roller rink? I would love to hear about it down in the comments, and if you enjoy our content, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and maybe even activating that ubiquitous notification bell. It really does make a huge difference. Let's meet again next week to celebrate yesteryear right here on RetroDaze.
Clicky clicky.